Hey, que Pasa Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank a couple of people. I want to thank my anchor sponsors. I want to thank Jake, Sergio, Camilo, and Dylan. Thank you guys for sponsoring the podcast. I also want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. His phone number is 760-235-9576. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll teach you along the way one of the most important investments of your life. So make sure you contact David if you're thinking of doing that. Before I begin my conversation with my guest today, I just want to remind everybody that this is not an endorsement. It's just an opportunity for the candidate to come on the show and talk about themselves, and for you, the voter, to get to know them a little bit more. Today's guest is, I'm guessing, a lifelong resident, because I've been here 30 years, and he's been here longer than me probably. I first met him when I was working for Ms. Doreen Johnson for the 21st Century grant. Back then, he was a principal at Jefferson Elementary. My guest today is a city council member and candidate for the city council member, Mr. Luis Pacheco. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Before we begin, get into the politics and candidacy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, let's see. You kind of mentioned it that I was already at Jefferson. I was there as a principal for about 23 years. I have my schooling was through San Diego State. I've got my BA, then I got a teaching credential, then I got a master's from USD in counseling, and then it further that and got a administrative credential from San Diego State and became a administrator. So I've been retired from the school district after about 36 years of school district, and I finished off as an assistant superintendent. But that was my work career. Yeah.
And you've been here all of your life in Calexico?
Pretty much so. I was born in LA, but raised in the valley in Calexico, and all my schooling, kinder through high school and through Calexico. So I'm a Calexican at heart.
Yeah, me too. I got here when I was 8 years old, so yeah, I've been here now most of my life. So and I was born in LA as well. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Something that I wanted to ask you, and I was kind of weird in these times of, I guess, COVID and the internet, is that you're not on social media.
And the issue with that is, I think you get to a point where you say, like for me, I've been here all my life, and like people put up their posters with their face and their pictures, and I say, well, I don't need that. If you don't know my name by now, it is what it is. But apparently, yeah, it maybe something I need to venture in. There's still 50 plus days of it, so I need to start up something and get my campaign out there when you can't do a face-to-face, because I was a face-to-face guy. I don't care how many years you have in a particular office, you still make the face-to-face contact, and you do the walk, and you do make the visits, you do knock on the doors, and you do leave your flyers, and you ask them, ¿qué es lo que te interesa? ¿Qué es, what I mean? And that gave me. And then, of course, my family is the big supporter. They're my walking crew, and you get people to support you, and you've got a team of people, and you're doing the face to face. You're knocking on doors, and you're leaving your flyers, and you say, pues, el candidato, pues, like, aquí está, mira, he's across the street. Let me get him for you. Well, yeah. Then I come back and I say, oh, well, the guy is walking. I don't pay people to leave flyers or put stuff on windshield wipers, and no. It was I was all my candidacy, all my campaigning was face to face basically, and but now with this new the virus, and it's different. You've got to find another way to channel your message. So in the near future, like in the next couple of weeks, I'll start doing something to that effect, because you get to contact more people, and it's the younger set that is looking for making the contacts with. Who is this gentleman? But if they don't know me,
yeah, especially like thinking back, you're not the first Pacheco, especially in your family that's ran for, any elected official position. One of your brothers was
School board member for about 12 years. Exactly. Sal was also well known for being a board member for the CUSD school district, and he was part of that for quite a while.
Yeah. So the big my first thought was like, if he's hoping that people will recognize the name, is there an issue with people confusing him with his brother, or thinking that his brother's running for city council this time?
Yeah, well, he's been out of it he's moved from Calexico, and he's up in the San Diego area, staying closer to his daughter. But he's been out of the politica for about 5 or 6 years now, so there shouldn't be any confusion of who's running. But he did have a following in his membership as a CUSD member.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about, trying to reach out to the younger generation, there's been this trend here, especially here in the Valley, where, a lot of young kids are coming back from college or university because, COVID and having to, come back home. And, I've gotten a chance to talk to a few of them, especially the kids I'm calling them kids, but, they're young adults. The kids from Valle Bota. And, one of their initiatives is to get more people out to vote. What are your thoughts on, this younger generation, wanting change and, trying to get more people to vote and trying to get more diverse, representatives in our, on the table, like in city council, school board?
Well, I'm all for the younger generation getting involved in issues and policies and politics, but there has to be a good cause, because there's the pandemic and we're not social, we're not out and we're not about, and we're kind of locked in, and we can't get out. We got to be wearing masks. You can't visit bars. You can't be out. You can't be socializing and getting out, conversations. But it's good that they want to do that. But the issues are what I hear they want to bring up is things that can be handled without so much force, and they want to make change now. That's one of the issues I hear is that, the water's not drinkable in Calexico. Well, guess what? We test the waters every quarter. Every 3 months we test the water, and we do an annual evaluation of the water. The water has never been undrinkable, and they're making claims that they don't care about the water. You have to heat your water to drink. No, that's information that is really false, and it's negative. When would the city allow its water to be contaminated, and you're not informing the people that it's in a contaminated condition? No, we have reports. The CCR information went out in the water bill, and it said the water is drinkable. So I think these younger folks that want to get involved pick up on issues, and they wanted the renters a moratorium. But you know what? The state came along and kicked in, and hey, we're gonna follow federal, state, and then county, and then city guidelines. So if the state is saying we're going to extend this, well, we're going to follow that guideline. Guess what? Yes, okay. So those issues are things that are at the moment like hot topics, and another one is the mayorship. I think that was a concern. You heard about our mayor being the mayor. Of course, there was an incident with her, but we have to address the fact that people make mistakes. And when you come to a meeting, you come to represent what's in front of you. her power is only to direct the meeting. A mayor has no other power than any other 5 members. The members all have equal status. The mayor only directs the meetings, and she gets to go to a ribbon cutting or once in a while. But they think, I don't know if they think the powers of a mayor are so much more elevated and more I don't know, responsive or powerful, or she can make or break with her decisions. No, it's always going to take a three vote decision by council. So they're upset with that, and those issues are, everybody makes mistakes, and we move on, and it's ceremonial. Everybody gets a crack at being mayor. You rotate the mayorship. Everybody spends time as mayor, so it's not nothing that is going to be more than what it is. Everybody gets a shot at being mayor.
But and I want to go back to a couple of the topics you mentioned there,
Sure.
because, I wanted to, those are some of the topics that I wanted to touch you, because you're not only a candidate, but you're somebody that's been in the city council when some of these big things have been going on. Going back to the Rosie though, Rosie thing, you as an elected official, do you feel that, you are held at a little bit of a higher standard? And do you feel that it's in your job kind of description to like lead by example?
Yeah, all those things are true. You have to put a face. You have to put a face to the community and saying, this is the good guy, or this guy stands for this and this. It's a shame that it happened, and we understand that we're all human and we all make mistakes. And I'm not in a position to say I'm better than you, or you. But given that, I think everybody has the opportunity to make amends, and you do your best and you put your best foot forward, and she has to deal with that down the road. And whatever she does now with her life on the outside is going to really give her more status. Or boy, she really came around. She did step forward and give us her best.
I think one of the biggest reasons why people are up in hands and upset about this is that you say people make mistakes, and they're everybody makes a mistake, but this happened twice in a span of, I don't know, was it months or whatever. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's kind of like a slap in the face when somebody does something, and it wasn't like, I really hate to like really get into it, because it's it's not my, I don't know, like you said, like it's not my job to criticize people, or I'm not perfect, people aren't perfect, but when the same thing happens twice in the span of months, yeah, it's a little bit. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it's
it gives it a bad taste. I understand, and there people are there saying, why did you vote? Well, you know what? It's on a rotational basis, really. And if they are that adamant that they don't want that individual to represent them in city council, there's a process. They can come out and draw papers and do a recall and get the signatures. And if they're that upset, they have that right. Mm. We're not going to say don't do it. You go ahead and do it. If you're that bothered and you're dead set on not having that person be your representative, by all means, you have that. This is a democracy. You can vote in and vote out people. So that's another avenue that they need to take. But to put up banners and write slogans and it's just an atmosphere that's not conducive to the betterment of the city. You can do all that in a quiet fashion. When I started this city council, the city council was in the city was in a 3.5 million whole. We were going bankrupt. Those are the issues you get up and fight and say, "Hey, what the hell's going on? What are we doing? Where are the expenditures? Why are we such in a hole? We're going to go bankrupt. We're going to lose fire department, lose the police department." Those are issues that you can get behind. But little issues like water, issues of kicking out the mayor. There's you can take a stand and back it up, but there's ways of going about it correctly, and don't you don't need to be so vocal, but you can be out there and say, you know what, we're going to make a change, and we're doing this process, and we don't think she belongs in. Would you mind signing this petition to have a re-election?
Yeah,
go for it.
Going back to the water, you say it's good to drink, and all this. So if it's, if there's no problem with the water, why is there a need to send a letter to, residents saying that, there's chemical in the water,
those are done annually, and those are done quarterly. It's a part of the state board that we have to inform the parents, inform the citizens of the condition of the water. And right now there is certain high levels in your area town, but we're going to address that issue in 2 months. We're going to stick in an aeration filter to help the that water tank, and that's a $200,000 project that we're going to try to get underway to get that water back to a little more better level. So we're taking and addressing those issues. But the water is drinkable, and those notices go out because they're required by law.
In terms of the renters moratorium, we live in a county, in a city where there's a high rate of low income families and people that were really impacted when it came to the pandemic. So what is the city or the county or the state, what are they doing to protect these families from getting evicted?
Well, right now we are receiving some fundings to assist individuals that had problems with their electrical bill, their water bill, their gas bills. So we're going along those lines of helping them, finding ways, and we're going to offer monies to those people to help make those payments. So we're going to address that in that fashion. It's called CARES money from the federal government. So we are producing a way to assist these people that are in some problems. And of course, we understand there's no work. People are looking for work, and it's a double whammy. There's no work, and if there's no work, how can you make your gas payment, your water payment, or your light payment? So we are addressing that issue, and hopefully we can help and assist in this fashion.
And in that, the same hand, we need to help out renters, but how are we helping out, the landowners or the landlords?
Yeah, the landlords get, I believe the commitment is to have them not evict anybody, to make sure that they understand that we're in this nationwide. It's not just Calexico, it's the nation. And there's a little insert in the law that allows them to at least receive 25% of their renter's fee, to make it a little easier on them, that they're making an honest effort to pay back. So these people that can't pay the full amount, if they can pay 25% of it, they're good to stay, and there's no eviction for them. And in the long run, they'll have close to 2 years to get back on track and pay back what they owe. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody, and nobody's left out in the process. The landowner and the renter.
How many times have you been in the council?
This is my second go around, and each time each time you're there, you learn there, and there's always different uh, issues and problems to come up with. But my my main, and it's always stuck in my head, that my vote is going to go for the citizens of the city. It's for the 40,000. If there's an issue with this and it's only dealing with a population of 60, well, I hear you, but I have to deal with 40,000. How is this going to affect the city? If it's good for the city, it's got my vote. If it's good for the city, it's got my vote.
Looking back on your 2 terms, what are some of the things that you're proud of that, you said you can think of that you voted for or that were passed during your terms that you can say, made Calexico a better place, help the citizens of Calexico?
Well, I think one of the first one is having the park near that area where you're at, the Cordova Park. It's finally getting the needed equipment and gas and grass lighting, and that's coming about, and people can walk and use the park now. We're getting another park. Heber Park is where the old Armour used to be. We're extending that park to cover the 2 blocks, and it's going to be a project that California passed a bond for it, and we're going to get close to $8 million to extend and make a nice gym, basketball courts, walking, outside lighting, parking. It's going to be a nice area on the west side of town. Another thing that we're looking at was President Trump's visitation. That was an issue with logistics. Even though he didn't stop to the city or stop to the county, he didn't stay here. But we had to provide security for them, even though he didn't stay. The biggest thing was getting this city out of this bankruptcy. That was the thing. That made me go in the second time. We were $3.5 million in the hole, and I said, I need to get in and see if I can help. At that time, there was 14 people running for city council. 14. I was lucky enough to come out on top. It was really, really a hard task to chew. We had to take on unions, the police, the fire, the workers, and we really had to bounce back and ask them to do us a favor and to receive less, to take furloughs, to take less pay, and we're doing more with less. That was the biggest issue, of making sure that this city had police and fire protection and was able to sustain the city with keeping the city alive. We didn't go bankrupt.
Yeah.
That was an issue, a big issue.
And looking back, what are some of the things that you would, kind of take back, that you would say, I probably have, if I had a second chance at it, I would probably vote differently?
On that one, I would say when these new subdivisions were coming in, and these guys were saying, you know what, why don't you have the owner pay part of that when they do that, and that was a bad thing to do. We don't have that anymore. We're not going to vote on that anymore. Don't have anybody. It just puts a burden on the homeowner to pay extra for the streets, the lighting, the park that was never submitted. So we're not letting the developer come in and say we're going to tack this on, and it says no, not anymore. We're not going to have that anymore. We're not going to have that. I would take that back. the developer either comes in and puts all the money up front, and that's it.
You're talking about that subdivision by by Walmart, right?
Yeah. No more of that. That is not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Tax on the people.
Another issue that's been lingering, for a while now. It's the Santo Tomas reopening, and all these vendors that are left out of work. Can you tell us a little bit, what's holding back the Santo Tomas to reopen? What are some of the things that the city's asking for the landowner to put up that is holding, or what is what's the holdback, pretty much?
Well, it was a shame that it came down that a fire took out part of that property, and it just didn't leave it open for business. We couldn't reopen because of the area. The fire department went in there and just came up with a lot of code violations. The code violations required to be addressed. So before these people could go back in, it was recommended that they take care of their code issues, so make it safe for public use. The issue there was nothing was really taken care of. So little by little, they wanted to come back in, the vendors, but the owners didn't put up front any safeguards to make it safe for people to go back in. So the vendors tried to go back in, and then the judgment by the judges closed it down. They said, you have to close it down. Nothing is safe in there. We have to lock it up. We have to close it down. So that was not our doing. It was the courts that decided that that had to happen. We couldn't leave it open. So we did try to work with them, and we were saying, why don't we allow them to work outside the area and put up their puestecitos, and they could do that. And we did come across, and we did meet, and we met with an arbitrator, and he decided that, yeah, sure, we can do that. They can work outside the Santo Tomas and continue with their sales, and we can do that. But it was a little hardship for them because it was not their normal stalls, and they had to go in and go out and pick up and do that. But it was difficult, but the city never closed them down. It was the judge, through the citations that they had with all those code violations, that they didn't allow us to reopen. So that was the issue.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel that we all hear different stories from all the some of the topics we've been talking about. And like I said, you're not on social media. A lot of the elected officials, they come out when it's time to get reelected, or when it's time for elections. But it seems to me that something that happens often, and not only here, but around the valley, around the nation, is that when somebody gets elected, we kind of like don't hear from them. And I feel that a lot of misconceptions or misinformation can be cleared out by coming out, and doesn't have to be out in public, but like on a forum like Facebook Live or Instagram Live, and kind of like address some of the issues that the community is concerned with.
About.
What are your thoughts on I guess being transparent, like being able to talk to the community?
Yeah. Well, you know what, I started something when I was mayor. I opened it up to having one meeting a month with anybody. It was the last week of the month. I set a date apart, the last Wednesday, to have people come in and talk about any issues. And the city manager, myself, and another city council member, we would meet with people to open up and listen to their concerns. And this is not brand new. This happened 12, 15 years ago. That's one of the things I remembered people doing, so they could be a voice and be more receptive to the community and hear what their concerns are. And that was what I kind of re-implemented, and we started doing that, and it carried on for the next two mayors. So that's one way of doing that. But we do have a Facebook, and I think the Facebook needs to be a little more informative, and I think the Facebook has to take on these questions that I think the city takes it for granted that everybody knows, but
Yeah.
if you don't go to city council or you don't watch it by streaming, you're not going to know. No les importa. So they're not going to, okay. Until they come and you got people honking horns and there's a caravan. And what's going on? Oh, pues es la biblioteca, la van a cerrar. Oh, okay. Then you hear about the issue. But I think we need to be more open up with our own Facebook at the city, and be more transparent, and bringing up these issues with water, because I told them 2 meetings ago, there's nothing wrong with the water. Here's our report. It's by the State Board Water Board. The water's good to drink. And then you've got people stating that the water needs to be heated. The water is not drinkable. No, that's not true. So we're going to be more open about answering back and putting in those items that are of concern.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we need to be a little more transparent with our Facebook.
And it can, because I've seen a couple of meetings here and there, and or you see clips on Facebook, during the public speaking session, and it I guess if I was one of the people that comes up to the public speaking, is that sometimes it feels like people are being ignored, which is not the truth, because part of the public speaking is you as a board, you can't really interact with.
Exactly.
But I feel that you can kind of alleviate that a little bit if you would have a monthly meeting where you would visit
Alejo, we do that even though it's not on the agenda. That's why you can't really have this give and take with the person going up there and talking about my car got ticketed, and they picked it up, they towed it away, I got there too late, but it wasn't because whatever it was, and now he has got to pay a towing fee. And we listened to the person. He says yes. Well, but after the meeting, we get together and say, you know what? Did we really make an effort to get a hold of the owner to make sure that his vehicle was being towed? And because of this reason, are we giving him an opportunity to put it back in his yard so it doesn't violate the code section that it needs to be towed? So we need to be more aware of, we're not right now ready to pay for any fines, really. So I think having that answered, but we can't answer during the session, basically. So they came up, and it looks as if we're not interested, but no, we're jotting down the concerns, and my alleyways are terrible. My neighbors are doing this. They're leaving their trash cans out this way, or they're leaving this out, and it looks bad. Well, we address those issues after the meeting, because it's not on the agenda signs. That's part of that reason. Yeah. We discuss it. We do address them.
Yeah. Being in the situation we are with, COVID and the pandemic, and situation, where the city's at, a lot of people are, angry and disappointed. What made you decide to run for re-election? It's,
we're in the black. We're in the black for the first time in about 3 years. So we have a reserve, but we're not there. Okay. We don't have the base that El Centro has for receiving, sales tax and all that. We're a little more lower than what they are. So we are, in essence, just getting out of this big, deep hole. So we're out of it. Yes, we found enough money to give our workers a little raise. I mean, they were the ones that sacrificed for the longest time, but not receiving a pay raise. We did address that issue. We did give them a small raise. It is minimal, but we're going to make an effort to continue to make our reserves better. But we're not out of the woods. We still need to work. We're doing good. We're on track, but we still a lot of issues to address, and we're very conservative. We're very conservative with the spending. We meet with our quarterly. Every 3 months, we have reports on our budget, and we're on target, or we're here, or these monies haven't come in, but we project to have this come in. So it gives us more of a bird's eye view of what's happening, instead of waiting for the end of the year and say, hey, we're $350,000 in the hole. What do you mean we're keeping a very proactive accounting issues with our business personnel. They're updating us every quarterly, and we're moving along and keeping an eye on that budget and not making extra out of ordinary expenses that don't need to happen.
Okay, so that's when you trying to get the city a little bit more comfortable in terms of budget was one of the reasons.
Even though I think I can continue to help the city become better. Change is good, but if it's going to be change within what we're doing, I mean, there's a madness to our thinking. We have tunnel vision, but we're working towards an end, and we're working for the success of the community. We want to make sure we make those steps, and then we're leaping, then we're bounding, and then we really got a good reserve.
If you get reelected, what are some of your goals, or what is something that you would like to see? Like, if you had one wish, what is something you would like to see, happen to Calexico if you get reelected?
We are low in both departments, in fire and PD. We need to make sure and booster up both those departments. It is a necessity. Our community, on any given day, if that border is opened, we're going to have the double population, basically from 3 a.m. to 8 o'clock in the evening. We just have all these commuters coming in and out, and we have to provide for them. And that's fire. There's a lot of people that faint on the border. People just get sick, and we make a call out there. We're using our people to go and assist and pick up the individual that is in distress, and we make those calls. We have to be there. Where those two areas for me, police and fire, make sure that we have a balanced budget and that we're spending the money where it's supposed to be spent. There's a lot of activities that we can't really do, but we do a lot with what we have in our library, in our community centers. We try to have activities for the seniors and for the kids. We have programs from cooking to bingo to karate to guitarra to singing to dancing. So we're trying to provide for all ages, seniors and the youth. But those were some issues for me. Make sure that we provide for the safety of the community. That's police and fire. Making sure there's activities for our seniors and for our young adults and our kids that are going to use the community center and our libraries.
Yeah, no, I want to shout out Calexico Recreation Department. They featured me yesterday on a community member spotlight, so I was their guest yesterday. So that was pretty good.
Did they make you read a story?
No, actually, they just made me talk about myself. Growing up in Calexico, and the podcast. The podcast is getting a little bit more traction, so people are noticing. So, yeah, it was really fun. A little bit nerve wracking. I talked for half an hour, and so, and it's hard when it's just one person talking. Right now we've been talking for over close to 40 minutes, and it's easier when it's somebody like you and me talking back and forth, but it's when it's just one person, talking about themselves, and it kind of something like
you get dry on whatever the topic, or what can I mention?
And even though I had kind of like practice a little speech, once you're there in front of the camera, it kind of like goes out of your head and you forget everything once you stop.
I just did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like that tax. It's the CFDs. Those CFDs. If I had an opportunity, I would never allow a developer to come in and offer housing with CFDs attached to it. No, that's the wrong thing to do for our people. You give us the price up front, and that's what we're going to pay. Yeah. No more this other additional cost. No.
So, Mr. Pacheco, we're at 40 minutes. Is there anything that I didn't ask you or we didn't talk about that you would like to add on? Like any final thoughts?
Well, you know what? We're just trying to be very budget conscious. We're not trying to overspend. We're looking for the 40,000 inhabitants of this city, and making sure that we can turn on the lights and turn off the lights and keep the city going. But when 4 years ago, it was dire. It was dire. We had to borrow money to just keep us afloat, because you have to pass a budget with a balanced budget. We had to borrow $3.5 million to make it. And we're out of those deep holes, but now we're on our way we're in the forest, but we're looking up and we can see the sky. So now we're little by little, it's getting better. So we just want to maintain that, and hopefully the people respond to not what's going on with the issues of elected officials, or the water's not drinkable, or they don't care about these workers, they didn't help out. But it is what it is, and we're doing the best to try to keep everybody in tune and focused to what we want to help, and we do want to help.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know that you're not used to these kinds of things, social media or Zoom, stuff like that. But I want to thank your daughter Roxana for reaching out and kind of like bugging you to be on and convince you.
Alejo, wait a minute. Does he live over there?
Yeah.
Does he still work for the district? Yeah. That's okay. When does he want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 o'clock. Okay, dile que sí.
Yeah, she's the one that reached out, and like I said, every time I say I interviewed an elected official. First of all, I didn't say before, but this is not an endorsement. It's just a way for the community to get to know the candidate, get to know what they're, all about, what they're trying to do for the city. And yeah, like I said, I'm open to interview anybody and everybody that's running, because that's my ultimate goal, is to get the community to know who's running, what they're running for, and make a better decision when election day comes, or when they mail in the vote. And yeah, like, I want to thank, like I said, your daughter again for reaching out and making this connection and making this possible in a sense.
All right, Alejo, you keep doing what you're doing. So this Pasa Calexico is I guess really taken on different form. It's growing.
Yeah.
It is. It's got more of an outreach now.
Yeah. Like I said, yesterday on my interview with the Parks and Rec, is at the beginning I was doing it just to do it because I wanted to do it, but now it's more of a responsibility. I've taken more responsibility to inform the community of whether it's a community happening or getting to know an official, elected official. So, Mr. Pacheco, once again, thank you for your time. Enjoy your Saturday, enjoy your weekend, and
also thanks for the time, and thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure stay safe, wash your hands, wear your face mask. Let's keep this trend of bringing down those numbers. And yeah, have a good day. Peace.